What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be talking about the box office for this weekend, which saw Wicked for Good release in theaters this weekend to an astronomical $150 million, which I called on the dot last week. I said it's going to do $150 million, and it did exactly $150 million. Now, the projections were kind of all over the place for this thing. Initially, when I made my first video, my prediction of 150 was considered quite high. The projections for most people were between like 120 and 150. And then on Thursday, after the Thursday numbers came out, and it had the 10th highest Thursday night box office, like Thursday night preview numbers of like any film to ever release. Number 10 all time. So huge Thursday box office for Wicked for Good. Now there's a bit of an asterisk there because there were screenings on Monday that got like 6 million, and then there were screenings on Wednesday that also got a few million there. So, you know, a little bit of an asterisk there, but overall, altogether, 10th highest Thursday preview number ever. And so they had it then at like 150 to 180. Okay, so then it was like, oh, this is going to be a lot bigger than we thought it was going to be. But I still was thinking 150. It's going to do 150 because it's not. Again, we talked about this last week about one of the reasons why it probably wouldn't pop as high as some people thought it would is because of the Thanksgiving weekend, right? It's Thanksgiving weekend. People are okay waiting until today, tomorrow, Wednesday, because they have off all these days here leading up to Thanksgiving, and so they're okay missing opening weekend because they're going to go see it on Monday or Tuesday or whenever they're best available to go see it. So I was like, that's one of the reasons why the first one didn't pop as high. You know, some people were like, it's going to do 150, it's going to do 160. The first one, it ended up doing 112 because people just, they didn't immediately have to go that weekend, and you saw it on the days after the first one came out. It did really well. So this one, I'm assuming, is probably going to be very similar. I think if this was just a normal weekend, it would probably have done 180. But because it is Thanksgiving weekend and people have off all week, you're going to see the numbers very high throughout this entire week for Wicked for Good. Whereas a normal week, it would have, those people that went to see it during the week would have probably gone to see it opening weekend, which would have inflated those numbers. So I could have, 180 might have been possible, normal weekend, but not Thanksgiving weekend. As for the film itself, it is by far the biggest Broadway opening weekend of all time, globally for sure. It did $226 million globally, which was about 40 million higher than 60 million higher than the first Wicked did, which is just incredible. Like this thing, the audience clearly grew globally and domestically for this film, and I think that the first Wicked did $160 million on its opening weekend globally, and then went on to make about $750 million total globally, which means this one opening that $60 million higher does mean that it is possible that it will get to $1 billion. I don't know. Verdict's still out, especially because of the reviews for this thing. This thing is not getting the reviews, the reception that the first one got. It is not as good. I have seen it. It is not as good as the first one. It's still really good. Okay, it's still really good, and it's got a high audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. The critic score is a little bit low, but it's got a high audience score. It's got an A cinema score. It is a really good film. It just does not live up to the first one, in my opinion, at all. So, I could, that might hurt it a little bit. I don't know. But I think that it is very possible it gets to $1 billion, and definitely, bravo. This is a great opening weekend for Wicked for Good, especially considering the first one did 112. For this one to open that much higher is just a stellar opening, and it's going to continue to play well all throughout the week and into next week, and, so on. So it's going to have a good run here through the holidays, and it's going to do very well. All right, let's head on over to the top 10 this weekend. Obviously, Wicked for Good is the #1 film of the weekend by a lot, with $150 million in its opening weekend, and no other film did $10 million or more. So Wicked definitely got number one. Number two, we have Now You See Me, Now You Don't with $9.1 million, down 57% in its second weekend. That is a bit of a rough drop, although, with Wicked for Good coming out, it's tough competition. Number three, we have Predator Badlands, which dropped 51% in its third weekend with $6.2 million. That film is up to $76.2 million total domestically. At number four, we have The Running Man, which did $5.8 million, down 65% in its second weekend. That is a very harsh drop. A film that's pretty good. I think The Running Man, it's a pretty good film. So I think it deserves to be doing a little bit better than this, but is what it is. At number five, Rental Family, which did not do well with $3.3 million in its opening weekend, only under $2,000 per theater. That's rough. That is very rough for that film. At number six, we have Sisu Road to Revenge by Sony, which did $2.5 million in its opening weekend. That one also did not do well. Again, that one almost didn't even get to $1,000 per theater, which would be horrible. At number seven, we have Regretting You, which did $1.5 million in its fifth weekend, down 59%. Number eight, we have Nuremberg, which did $1.2 million, down 51% in its third weekend. And number nine, we have The Black Phone 2, which did just right at $1 million, down 62% in its sixth weekend. And then at number 10, we have Sarah's Oil, which did $771,000, down 66% in its third weekend. All right, moving on to next weekend, we have one big major film coming out, and it looks like it's going to be really big, and that is Zootopia 2. This one, we didn't really know how it was going to go. We knew the first one made $1 billion, but a lot of that came from China. Over $300 million of that first one's entire global gross came from China. And, but films have not been playing well in China as of late. Hollywood films have not been doing as well in China as of late as they were doing when the first Zootopia came out almost like, 9 years ago? 9 years ago, close to that at this point. So, it was a little bit, we were like, oh, we'll see. We'll see how Zootopia fares in China. We'll see what happens there. It's doing really well. It's looking like it's going to open to $200 million just in China alone. $200 million. And it's looking like it's going to open to like $160 million on the 5-day weekend here in the States. So that's like $360 million right there between just two countries. So that is going to be huge for Zootopia 2. And with Zootopia 2 doing those kinds of numbers, from what I've heard, the film is very good. From the people who have seen it, I've heard that the film is a really good film and it does live up to the original. So if that is the case, I don't know. This thing's easily making $1 billion because this thing could do $400 million on its opening weekend globally. So this thing's easily doing $1 billion, 100% at this point. The question is, can it get to like $1.5 billion and into that range? We'll see though. But as for the domestic opening weekend, I'm going to say this is for the 5-day weekend because it's Thanksgiving weekend now, so we get the whole 5 days. So I'm going to say Zootopia 2, I'm going to go actually higher, and I'm going to say Zootopia 2 does $170 million on the 5-day weekend here. I don't think it does as well as Moana 2 did last year, which I think did $220 million, 215, I don't know, somewhere in that range on the 5 days. So I don't know if it does as well as Moana 2 did, but it could. I honestly think 170 might even be a little bit low. I think this thing could do 200 million, and if it does 200 million in both the States and China alone, like just those two both do over 200 million each, that's insane. That's insane. And this thing is going to do well over $1 billion. If you guys like this video, make sure you give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and make sure you let me know down in the comments below, do you think Zootopia 2 can open to over 200 million on the 5-day weekend? And I will see you guys next time.